You know, in the contemporary art world, Brian Giesen used to say that most modern art, in his opinion, was not conceptual art. It was either purely decorative, because it looked nice, it was presented well, it would look great in rich people's apartments, or it was what he called deceptual art, where when you really analyze it, it had nothing to tell you. It was vacuous. And in the world now, the contemporary art world, intimacy, sentimentality, and the emotion side of people's lives are considered very uncool. Nervousness about intimacy, that to me is mystifying. All the great artists in the world, in one way or another, illustrate their approach to life in the work they make. And to me, that's what art was always supposed to be, a spiritual quest by people whose thoughts go deep enough to start to question the very basic ideas like the nature of reality, if there is any, how we perceive things, can we change how we perceive things, can we change our behavior? If we can, how? Right from the 60s till now, we've always felt life and art are inseparable. And old Native American way of thinking, which is separation is death. They don't have a word in Cheyenne Apache culture for death, but separation. And because our work was based on our lives, myself and Lady Jaye's lives were dedicated to melding, to become one being, the Pandrogne, the two becoming one. Giesen called it the third mind when they collaborated, and the work that produced was not either of theirs, but was produced by the combination of the two together. All of that led us to inevitability, that our explorations in our private lives should also be illustrated in our artistic lives, our aesthetic lives. Otherwise, we would be in some way camouflaging our true intent. And so we had to start to include what we call big love and our quest to mirror each other and become one. And with that, our explorations of consciousness and passion and intimacy and all those things. You know, how powerful is it? Does it belong to you? Who creates your entity? When you surrender to another being, what does that imply? All those things, to me, are really important questions, especially in a world that has become so cynical and so riddled with consuming on every kind of level, an addiction to consumption, new toys of toys, the craving for careerism, the craving for richness, for money. You know, we quite often at universities all over the world, and we ask people what they want, what would they like to achieve, and they say almost always, I don't care as long as I'm rich and famous. To me, that's an appalling state of affairs. The world should be about kindness, about sharing resources, about looking for new social systems to survive the crisis that we're in, both morally, emotionally, and economically, and in terms of the ecology. So that's, to us, always goes back to the individuals, that if they can't change themselves, how can we change the world? And the world needs to be changed. Was that helpful? Priests are called ghosts, and that's why you never see them, because they are just channels for a divinity, and their identity is irrelevant and shouldn't distract in any way